Hi, welcome back to another episode of Story Dads. Today we have the one and the only, the inimitable Katie Barkley. She is a story mom extraordinaire, and she has chosen for her film Brave. She's got a lot of personal connections to that, and we're going to explore those and how they relate to all of us, and even into how you can heal your entire world, past, present, and future, through a really good relationship with your mom. So hey, buckle up, here we go, and don't forget to call your mom.
Let's go,
Perfect.
Katie. Thanks for being with us. This is going to be fun.
Thanks for having me.
So excited for this movie.
Me too. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Excited to be on the show.
We're getting the better half of the Barkley family today.
I know. That's right.
That's right.
True. That's true.
The stronger, the more explosive, dynamic.
This is true. Also true.
The one who makes humans. You
That's
are
true.
a story mom. You are an ovary haver.
I'm a story mom. I am. I'm a story mom. I'm an ovary haver. I have 2 daughters, almost 21 and 17. Wild. You guys knew them when they were little, so that's wild. Lover of movies. Made my kids lovers of movies too. That was
You did.
Yeah. So did you, Micah. You're a huge part of that.
Yeah, thanks. I was an honor to be a part of it, and we had that. It was that one summer that we were like doing the horror movie like pyramid, and like it was like a film school for that genre, which is super fun. And
you introduced T to a bunch of great horror movies. I remember her telling me though, she was like, "Oh, you're going to show it." They showed me this movie, and there were a couple of times we had to fast forward, and I'm like, yeah, because the 80s horror movies were, well, not the scary stuff. It's all the other 80s.
Yeah, they got a little licentious, you know.
I heard T's going to come on. She's excited.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Back in the day, I remember I first realized this was when we were buying the Lord of the Rings DVDs. And I accidentally bought the Two Towers non-extended version. And I brought it home and she was like, "What is this? Why are there only 2 DVDs? There should be 6 DVDs. I was like, I'm sorry. You know, she's like 11 years old watching 3 hours of behind the scenes from Fellowship of the Ring. I was like, I think you might like movies.
She's our people.
She is your people.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have her on, and also her formulative years are different. Like, because one of the movies she wanted to talk about was I think Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Yeah,
which is one that wasn't on my radar at all.
No, I was super excited about that suggestion because I was like, that would have been on our radar. But now every time someone like suggests something formative like that, that's out of my like bailiwick, I was like, what about that is interesting to you? Let's go talk about that.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Well, I mean, like Brave, to bring it to Brave, like this movie came out when my girls were 6 and 3. So like kind of perfect time to watch a movie about mothers and daughters, because we all know Disney doesn't make movies about mothers and daughters or mothers at all.
Yeah, they're
unless
usually
it's Freaky Friday, I think,
or they're dead.
Yeah, and the stepmothers are evil, and then they do Freaky Friday. That's like the only other mom-daughter movie I can think of. So, and the only formula they know how to do is like body swapping with moms. Like, we can't deal with moms just normal. Let's make her a bear.
We just don't know what we're doing. Okay, so why do you think that is? Is it significant, or is that just happenstance?
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if like. It's an interesting thing because like when I was watching this, I think it's interesting that it took Pixar to do it, because I think Pixar is the one who was like, let's make this for the kids and the parents. Like all of their movies are like, we're going to make this so the kids have a ton of fun. And then like the parents are going to watch Toy Story 3 and lose their mind when Andy gives the toys away. Like, you know, or we're going to watch Up and be destroyed in the first 10 minutes. And the kids love it.
And so we've talked before about how the first sort of like era or run of Pixar movies, like their first sort of creative load before they, I don't know, figured out they were going to be around for more than 20 years. Everything was very like...
It's very parent-centric.
It's very parent-centric. It's a lot about being the steward of a kid or caring for a kid or relating to a kid, whereas it's become more about kids relating to the world.
Totally.
And so, yeah, like they were the perfect ones to go, okay, we've done, like, let's go in and let's
Yeah.
do mother-daughter.
Yeah. Because I think most other movies, even with parents, the parents are always the side character. Like the dad, like it's dads are in them. I think of like the dad in Aladdin is in it, like Jasmine's dad, but he's kind of like this bumbling, like funny little side character.
Yeah. Same with Beauty
So
and the
like the
Beast. You got
relationship,
the
yeah,
inventor
same,
guy. Yeah.
totally. But the person, like the relationship between parent and child is never the central story ever.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, so I was thinking about it and I'm like, this is the first princess movie I watched where I was like, I totally relate to the parent, not the princess.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
which is weird because I grew up in like sort of the golden age of princess Disney movies. Like I saw all of them in the theater. And then all of them came out of the vault when Tessa was little. So I rewatched them all again, but I still related to the princess because I watched those in my
Yeah.
formative years. So I'm like,
Well,
I'm
there's
still
not many
Ariel. I'm
parents.
still 16-year-old Ariel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's not even parent options to relate to.
Mm-mm.
But like you said, like this, like Pixar, especially in that early era, always very kind of parent centric focus. Even if the parent is like the toys raising Andy, not
Yeah,
actual like parents, right? So
Right.
it's still this like
totally.
we're gonna help bring up this kid as like this theme, but then you get to like 2012 and this is kind of the tail end of that. So like
Hmm.
Brave is really like one of the last. I don't know if it's live. I would need to go back and look, but I was juxtaposing it with some like Frozen, which is where it felt like Disney and Pixar and all these started moving away. This was 2 years after Brave, and so
Hmm.
this is really where I don't know. I think something about that era was they were still clinging on to that early stuff.
Hmm. And then they made, I mean, Frozen's another example of like a movie about like a familial relationship, like about sisters.
Right.
And this is the first Pixar movie that was like strictly about humans. I mean, I suppose also bears, where the humans are the main
Yeah.
characters, and then you have
Right.
Up.
Right.
But you don't think about it because like Woody seems kind of like a man, but he's a
Yeah.
toy.
Yeah.
And you got fish, and you got monsters, and you've got
Monsters.
So
Yeah.
this is the first.
Yeah.
Like Woody's mom is in it, but barely. So
Yeah.
this is like
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
all human characters,
Yeah.
which
Well,
is
so
cool.
Katie,
I think it gave them like.
so
Go ahead.
sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say
No, I
to
just
kind of tee up this conversation. When we were talking with you about coming on and doing a movie, like you threw out like right away, like Brave is like my number one choice, and like you're kind of like I got dibs on Brave, like I got all the
yeah.
reasons. So like, what was it about this movie that really grabbed you and was like, I want to come on with these nerds and unpack this?
I mean, I love talking to nerds about movies, so that's the number one reason. But yeah, I think with Brave, it's like, well, I have two girls, and I think now to kind of be like, I mean, this movie hits a lot different now with a
Yeah.
almost 21-year-old and 17-year-old.
Yeah.
I watched it when they were little, and then I probably hadn't seen it in like 8 years maybe.
Yeah.
And so before I really kind of went through the teenage years with kids, with daughters, and I think it's just like it's an interesting, the mother-daughter relationship is, obviously unlike any other relationship, but it tends to be one that is sort of like fraught with contention and
Mhm.
conflict, and can be a little bit spicier, a little bit fiery, but it's also like, I mean, I relate so strongly to like, this kid drives me insane, and don't you dare say anything bad about my kid or I will murder you. So like the literal mama bear in this movie, I'm like, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
And I totally relate to the like, you're driving me nuts. So it felt like such a relationship that I'm like, yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly what she's
I
feeling.
mean,
And I also was a teenage girl. So like I do, I said I related to
you can
Eleanor,
relate
to
to
the
Merida in
mom,
there as well.
but
Yeah.
I get Merida. Like I've
Yeah.
been that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
and
kind of cool.
one of the things that I find interesting about this is, like you said, the mother-daughter relationship is super unique. And I think there's lots of reasons for that. I think a lot of it is like the complexity of interpersonal relationship that women are capable of, or maybe
Mhm.
damned to, however you want to look at it, that men are not. Like,
Yeah.
when they do studies, they'll have like men play on rival teams, and then they'll switch up the team. so that you're now playing alongside your rivals, and they'll measure like team like passes per minute. So, they come up with metrics to measure like how good your teamwork is. And men just go like, oh, okay, cool, we're on the same team now. That's fine. Everything that
Switch.
went on a minute ago is forgotten. Like, we're cool.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did that with women, it was like, boom, no. Like the rivalry from the last round remains. We are not friends just because we're trying to score on the same goal.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And I think we see that in the dynamics of even within this movie, like the way they portray men is at that level of like, we come together every year and we hate each other, but also like we drink together and we'll all chase bears together, and that's great. But then like together. A mother and a daughter, it's like, man, you got a whole lifetime of this of hanging on to these interactions in a way that's so much more tangible and present.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the other thing, and I'm curious, like, I'd love to hear how your, 3 and 6 year old related to the movie versus how they grew with it, and how much of the teenage versus mom drama was already present at 3 and 6.
Oh, that's interesting.
But like what you said about like, I was a teenager, I was Merida, and I'm also Elinor.
Yeah.
And that from the teenage side, you look up at Elinor and you cannot imagine that she was ever Merida. And
right. Totally.
And that like the act, I think there's a reason a lot of these Disney films that are about couples coming together, that's the culmination of the movie, is because those young people in a sense die. Like at that point, like you submit to a new process where you're like, who I was that got me here is not who I can be to get me where I'm going. And so
you're talking about that threshold, like once you pair up, it's not just about you anymore. There's someone else that you are committing yourself to. So now like the younger, it's about me, Merida, kind of where she's at in this movie, like that moves on. Once the
child that you were dies in order to facilitate the thing that you're going to grow and become and then propagate the world. But and especially for the princess, because when the princess has a baby, which is for kings and queens and princes and princesses, that's actually like kind of the
Carry
point.
On the line.
And maybe for all of us, that's the point as well, to a certain extent. But like the young woman who is, as soon as she has a baby, like her waist changes, her bust changes, her values change, the construction of her brain changes. Like the act of becoming a mom, in a sense, really more so than I think a boy becoming a dad, or in a different way, at least. Like the young woman dies, to be dramatic about it, and a new woman emerges.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think in a lot of like these princess movies too, like she's gone through something that is like, she's not going to be the same again. Like she's got this like love, but she's also had to sacrifice and give up her family, or she's had to fight for something. She's almost died, like that. You don't come back from things like that the same person. And then you have like the trauma bonding usually with the man, like the love interest. So there's the like, all right, we've kind of gone through this like life together. And so now we're like, we're new people, both of us.
Yeah.
And now we're new people together.
Yeah.
And
right.
This movie, I think it's interesting. You get to watch like, oh, go ahead. Do you have a question?
No, I was just going to just add to that, just say like, so the experience of Merida is unable to comprehend that Elinor wasn't always the way she is now as a mom.
Yeah.
Elinor, when she was young, she died to self in order to become what she needed to become in order to make a Merida.
Yeah. But Elinor like hints at it one time, but she doesn't even say it to Merida. I think she says it to Fergus when she's like, even I had reservations. Like, it just kind of as an aside, she never tells Merida that though.
Right.
But I think it's interesting that the movie starts out with them young, because the movie is showing us that Elinor was fun and Elinor was like playful, and the hair in this movie is awesome, and the hair absolutely shows the change, especially in Elinor. Merida's always just wild and awesome, but Elinor's hair is long and loose, and then it's braided, and then it's loose. And I mean, I think that's a huge part of her journey, but she's like fun. She and Merida are goofing around and playing, and she's telling her stories. Elinor's the one who tells her about the wisps. She's the one that believes in magic. Fergus doesn't. She's like, oh, your dad doesn't believe in magic. She's the one telling little like tales and fairy tales and fables, which is such a like Scottish thing, like Gaelic thing. Like they love their fairies and wisps and selkies and all these like. So I do like that that's in there. I think it's true to like the Scottish story.
Yeah.
And she's like fun, you know, she has that little moment where it's like, oh, we don't put a really like a bow and arrow. You're going to give her a bow and arrow. But then immediately, as soon as there's danger, like Mordu comes, she's off. She's on the horse, she's riding off, and she's like, she's brave and she's fighting and she's saving her daughter. And then immediately it goes to Merida's grown up and she's like, don't do this. You can't do this. A lady doesn't do this. A princess doesn't do this. A queen doesn't do this. Like in a moment, you just understand the difference of like, this is what parenting a little kid is like. And this is what parenting a teenager is like. Like the stakes are like became so much higher in an instant. Like, we're just playing in the woods and telling stories. And now you have to be prepared to be a queen. So,
mom's role is different as she ages. I like the one of the things I noticed in this last watch through is that like Merida, she's got her dad's crazy wild hair and her brother's crazy wild hair, and her mom is like, she's the one who's like the put together one in the family. Just how chaotic would this family be if Elinor is not the one trying to just like keep you psychopaths together here, because they are such a mess right now, and dad is totally clueless there. So like it's
like
easy to look at Elinor.
Scene.
It's wild, but it's easy to look at Elinor and just feel like, man, she's uptight. She's the one who like is just like, she's such a stick in the mud around everything. But man, if this family doesn't have that person there, I mean, you could see the chaos that erupts when she's gone and it's just dad and the boys and all the men are just like fighting and warring, and it's madness.
Yeah. And she's, you know, I think one of the things I really like too is that like there's a certain part of it that like, you know, Merida makes the comment about like, my brothers get away with everything. And I do think that is like a very sort of firstborn mindset of like, I can't, everything's on me. And to a certain extent, I think that is true. I do think there is like that oldest daughter syndrome is like a very real thing. I'm not an oldest daughter, I'm a second born, but I see it, and I see it in my own kid. And I do think some of that is just like birth order and personality and like, you know, a pressure that you put on yourself. And some of it is an external pressure for sure that like we might not even know we're putting on them. And then my youngest she was absolutely those three little boys all wrapped up in one. And like, I had one of those too. It's just three of those in one body. But yeah, I think that, you know, I don't know what we don't get any of like Elinor's backstory before she had Merida. So I don't know if she was a firstborn, I mean, obviously she was, if she was given to Fergus or promised to Fergus. But I do appreciate that they show it kind of right away in the beginning flashback that like, she seems to have a lot of affection and love for Fergus, and he has a lot of love and affection for her. Like they're very playful. So she has that, like, it's still in there. And then I think she's got the duty of like, I have a responsibility here. Like this is, you know, she was raising kids in a vacuum. It wasn't like she had all these, you know, self-help books and podcasts and blogs or even other moms to talk. Like, I'm assuming that's what it was like. And it wasn't like, oh, queen over here and queen over here, we're getting together and be like, can you believe what my teenage daughter just said?
Let's talk about our queen challenges, raising our princess daughters.
No, you don't know anything. And they probably didn't get to leave very much. I mean, her life was probably like in the castle, raising the kids and teaching Merida about like how to be a queen, how to like be a royal. Reminded me, I don't know if you guys watched The Crown, but there's like a whole episode in The Crown where Queen Elizabeth is like realizing she knows very little history because the only education she was ever given was like, because she was so young and they're like, you're going to be the queen eventually, was just how to be a monarch. And realizing like she didn't learn anything else. And there's so much stuff that I don't know about the world. So I'm assuming that that's what it was like back then. It was just like, this is the only education you need. You don't really even need to know how to cook and clean because we have people that are doing that for you. Like you probably don't really even know how to be a mom, need to learn how to be a mom. Somebody else is going to take care of the kids. Like, you just need to know how to be like like play your part, play your role. So that's the only thing Eleanor ever learned. So that's what she's teaching Merida. And I think it's coming from a place of like I want the best for her, and we can only do, we're working with what we've got. Every parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what Eleanor is doing. She didn't have any other experience other than being probably married off at 16 and then being a queen.
Yeah. And I love the way they even encapsulate this conflict. Like the entire axis of this is like, there is no wicked stepmother. There is no domineering, evil, like stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
There's no orphaning. There's no war coming. The whole crux of this movie is ultimately like, you are going to alienate your relationship with your mother to the extent that she will be forever alienated in a way where it's irreconcilable. Like your grudges, your mutual grudge is so brutal that it threatens to annihilate the entire order of their kingdom. Because if she drops out, who knows what's going to happen? Like if Eleanor never comes back, the kingdom's really in a problem. And she ceases to be human. And so, it's amazing the way they line that up. I love that they made it Mama Bear, but they
Totally.
also did it with the art direction, in that the only characters that really look like people are the mom and the kids, and maybe the nursemaid or she's the servant or the lady in waiting. I forget her name. Like all the male characters are almost cubist in the way that they're exaggerated, which I love because it's like, hey, we're gonna keep this axis right here around feminine normalcy.
Yeah.
And then all these other things are like essentially goblins, and they behave
Except
that way.
You have the one guy where he's the big brute, where she like the guy's presenting his like tiny little scrawny son, and he's standing behind this huge like soldier. Which I actually think is a great moment, because it shows you that Merida is like not against marriage. Because this guy stands there and they cut to Merida like,
she's like, this could work.
Maybe. So it's not I don't ever want to get married. I don't ever want to marry. It's like, I just don't want to get married right now. And I want to be able to choose.
And
but you have all these
and that Fergus is like, gets it. And he's not judgmental of her when he pretends to be her when they're doing a little role playing and how she's going to confront her. He gets her completely and without judgment,
And so Katie, you said one thing about how like Eleanor, like at the beginning, you get that little glimpse where it's like she loves and adores Fergus, and you can see that despite him being a big oaf and a big brute, and him like clearly like not getting this stuff. Like it never, because I feel like one of the critiques on this movie could be like it kind of just goes like all the men are big dumb idiots the whole time. But there's a genuine love that is there, but it's telling the mom and dad story there. So I want to explore that dynamic a little bit, because I think it's very much an important part of this movie.
Yeah, and I think the men, I think the men are kind of the MacGuffin of the movie. Like one of the Klansmen's name is actually MacGuffin. Which is you don't, this could be any situation. The relationship between Merida and Eleanor could be anything. But you said it in medieval Scotland, there's gonna be men, and it's probably kind of what they were like.
Yeah.
So it's not this isn't like an anti-man movie. I think it's just remotely.
No, because it's still like, even the thing that makes Fergus, he's a brute, he's a big, aggressive, hyper masculine male, and he saves his family from the bear in the very first scene, and he sacrifices his leg for it, and it's like honored and seen.
And he loves his wife. He loves his wife.
You're seeing this integration of those things coming together in a way that's really beautiful, and he's still this big cartoonish guy.
Yeah. And they don't spend too much time on really any other relationship. There's enough of it to know, Merida even kind of likes her brothers. They get away with anything, but they're fun.
Well, it's even with the big crazy red hair, that's her dad's temperament. That's her dad's side of the family. That's this aggressive, I want to go explore energy that her mom doesn't have. And so as this daughter with a different set of genes than her mom, they're learning to integrate. That is the story.
That's the story. And I think
Yeah.
they set up what the story is right away with, you mentioned the like role play. That whole like back and forth is exactly what the movie is about. Like, you just aren't listening to me. You aren't listening to me. Why don't you
Yeah.
listen to me? Like, if she would just listen, if she would just listen, if she would just listen.
Yeah.
And which rings so true. Like, I feel that very, very deeply. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so many conflicts and difficult moments that I had with my girls that was just like, if I would have just slowed down and listened to like what they were really feeling, and if they would have just like taken in the like the advice or the suggestion or even the like correction, and known that it was like, hey, can you also hear me saying like, I'm telling you this because I love you or because I care about you or because I want the best for you. Like, it's so hard to hear that and not just hear the like correction, like, here's what's wrong, or here's what I don't disagree, or here's what I disagree with. And I think one that's a moment that kind of stuck out to me and kind of like hit me as a mom was, there's the whole like montage of Merida like riding her horse and shooting the arrows, and then she's just being so wild and free and so Merida, and then like climbing the mountain, and she comes back to dinner and she's telling the story, and she tells them like, I climbed this thing, and the dad is just like, what? Like, nobody gets to, who climbs that? And Elinor is just reading her letters, and she's like, what's that? Oh, that's nice, dear. Like, she just pays zero attention to like who Merida really is in that moment. And like,
she's missing it.
She's so set. Yeah, she's missing it. She's so set on like what needs to happen that she like doesn't notice that Merida is so excited about this and like so proud of herself. And that was like, you know, if I'm looking at that, if I'm watching that scene and not placing myself as the villain, I'm like, of course they're going to make the dad the fun one, because dads are always the fun ones and moms are. But then when I can put myself in the scene, I'm like, oh, she could have been fun too. All she needed to do was just be like proud of her and like taking a moment to put the paper down and say like, good for you. Like, I can't believe you did that. That's amazing. And then maybe Merida would have been more receptive to being like, hey, we also have, these are these letters that came in and we need to talk about this. But that wasn't the case.
Well, and it reminds me of what we were talking about with The Incredibles as well, is that idea that like Eleanor has forgotten that she used to be Elastigirl kind of thing.
Yeah.
And,
and,
you know, and it brings to mind like the Chesterton's fence ideas, you know, when you're in the woods and you encounter a fence, like, do you go, oh, this fence shouldn't be here, and you just tear it out?
Yeah.
Or do you go, this fence might have a purpose, let's find out what it is? And then versus a third option, which isn't usually in this like axiom, is someone that's like, you must never remove fences. Fences are always there for a reason. Don't investigate, just stay within the fence. And it seems like Eleanor is in a position where, you know, as queen and as the only like sane adult in the room, she sort of left like guarding the fence.
Yeah, and you could see how she could get ossified in that position of, she's just like, no one else here is going to be like even aware of any boundaries or manners or virtues or any of these things. So like, my default is just to go like, no, I got to protect these. So like, get in line, guys. Like, I don't care what you did. Like, there's business to attend to. Like, someone's got to do it, right? So it makes sense she could get kind of stuck in that position.
And so then, okay, so they physicalize the metaphor of, you know, she fully becomes Mama Bear, and she's at risk of like weirdly of falling off into absolute total chaos.
Yeah.
When she's actually like a sort of a force of order. And so that it in a way it is almost like Freaky Friday, I'm realizing, where now Merida has to actually be a mom to this bear thing and teach her how to get food. So in a way it forces their dependence relationship to switch in a way that Merida's wildness
it's exactly what I realized.
Virtue that she's imparting from a maternal stance. And so it kind of pushes her into this, like, what would Merida be like as a mom? And we get to see it. And then mom is forced to be, you know, eating with her fingers and learning new rules of how to comport herself in the world, and having to learn what it's like to be, you know, this force of nature, like an ambassador in this force of nature. Okay, thank you for listening. We're going to take a little break to remind you, if you haven't yet, please click subscribe. Please click like. Please leave us a comment on what you're thinking. And please tell a friend about this podcast. We love your input. We love to know that you're out there thinking deeply about story, because as story goes, so goes the world. So find good stories, tell good stories. And with that, we're back.
Yeah, I noticed
And
that too this time around. I missed that the first time where it was like, oh, look at like all this stuff that was so hard for her, like
Yeah.
that drove Eleanor nuts is now like Eleanor needs that because like one fish is not going to cut it. She's like, I need four more fish. Like keep getting me fish.
yeah.
So
All
yeah,
Merida's skills and her temperament is like really valuable at that point now. So it's
yeah,
something Eleanor actually
Yeah.
needs. But one of the things
But she needs the Eleanor qualities to be able to impart them with
Yeah.
patience
Yeah.
and compassion, and so it forces Merida to be a mom, just like a wild mom.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
One moment that I noticed too, like in that I thought was really important, like right before the switch, when Merida goes to like, I want to change my mom. She is so like, I'm just gonna go, and she's not thinking about it. It's such a like 16-year-old mind, you know, where I'm like, well, I just want to change my mom. I don't like have any idea what that means. Just change my mom. And they both blow up. They're fighting, and then Eleanor like throws her arrow in the fire, or her bow in the fire, and immediately is like, "What did I do?" Pulls it out, and it feels so bad. And that feels like such a. Both of those things are true. Like for for the age that they are, where you're like, I'm 16. I'm not thinking about all the like consequences of it. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, Eleanor probably well, she's probably in her 20s and her 30s back then, but she, you know, is like, I just took something like in my rage, I was supposed to be the adult in this situation. I wasn't, but she snaps back into the adult pretty quickly. Like, I can't believe I just did this. She loves this. But then when she becomes a bear, Merida sticks with the like, it's not my fault. Like, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
I didn't do this.
That was
The
the
witch
thing that
turned
jumped
it.
out
Was
to me.
the witch did this. Like,
Yeah,
she
she gives
never
her the
takes
pie,
ownership
and then she turns
for
into
it.
the bear. And her initial thing, like, this wasn't on me. Like, you just fed your mom.
I
this
didn't
thing.
ask
Like,
for
what do you mean
this.
this wasn't on? Yeah.
Yeah.
This
So
wasn't
she
what I
sticks
wanted.
with that
This isn't
for
my
a while.
fault. That
Yeah.
felt like the most teenage girl moment in this. That just
Totally.
like in the way that kind of gets under your skin. Like, this wasn't my fault. This wasn't what I wanted. Like,
Yeah.
this
And
absolutely
like
was
you
your
could
fault,
look at that
Merida.
at being like, she's such a brat, but then it's also like, no, she's just being like developmentally like on target.
Yeah, that's where
Like that's
where
exactly
teenage
what a
girls are.
16-year-old
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not my fault. I didn't do this, right? It's got to be somebody else's fault. Because the
Right.
real thing is like the hardest thing for Merida would be to say like, I got to take ownership for this.
Well,
Like,
that's her story arc, right? That's where she ends up in the beginning, which is like it was on me, and it was my immaturity. And she can see that. That's how her character needs to mature.
Yeah.
You know, I was gonna kind of bring it back to earlier. You know, the whole, what gives the story so much depth, and like the Merida and her mom being turned into a bear, and they have to go through this whole thing. It's set with the underpinning of like the legend that this whole family is built upon is there is this giant bear who's out there who you later find comes to who's actually like this demon bear who comes to represent the kingdom being fractured, right? So Michael, we've talked about this idea that, you know, it starts with this one small relationship, mom and daughter got to learn to get along, but really this is about restoring this whole broken kingdom that's been fractured over generations.
Yeah, and what I love about that is that it indicates like the fractal nature of our closest relationships. And it's just like when Jordan Peterson says like start with cleaning your room and then like go out and clean the rest of the world. Is if my closest, most interpersonal relationships are fractured, that echoes out into the world. It makes me unable to go affect change in my community or in my nation or in my planet. And that order of everything is ultimately focused in the order of my relationship with God and my relationship with my immediate surroundings. And and especially when you're the center of a kingdom, you know, this is the future queen. And, you know, this is going to be an alliance that keeps these troglodyte men from murdering each other all over the place. So, you know, that idea that our most immediate relationships are somehow also responsible for the brokenness in the world. It's one of the things that the Novus Global coaches talk about, you know, is that like everybody in a system is responsible for how the system works. And that refusal to take ownership of both characters, really, like both of them are blaming one another.
Well, because it's the same issue that the older brother in the Myth of the Kingdoms, who he wanted to go out and do his own thing, and he didn't want to play the part in the whole of the kingdom. So he left, and he, we find out he became Mordu the bear, right?
And it's the curse of Eden, whether it's literal or metaphorical. It's like that. It's the same generational curse. Like I'm still living out, trying to overcome this idea that I don't need to live up to the responsibility of kingship. And that's one of the things I love about like the Orthodox wedding ceremony has this idea, like they wear crowns, and it's like, well, this is Adam and Eve. Like this is like the groom in that moment is every man. And the bride in that moment is every woman, and they have this divine responsibility to come together and govern well. What are they governing? Like whatever's around them. And so that idea that, Elinor is trying to impart this idea of governorship. Yeah. She's just doing it in her broken way.
But I think it's totally right. Like you can't, if it was, all right, I'm going to go address this historical injustice that happened, and this guy abandoned his kingdom, and we're going to go set all this right, and we're going to go but like, no, before you can even think about that, like, get your relationship with your mom in order. Like, work, like you guys need to be in harmony. You guys need to learn how to do that, because you have no idea how to set a kingdom like that in order, and historical stuff. Like you have no idea, especially if you can't manage those relationships that are in front of you.
Right.
Well, that's
and if
not
they
their
fail
goal.
to do, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
Katie.
That's not their goal. They don't even explain that you don't know that Mordu is this. I mean, like they're setting it up, but like we don't know for sure. We don't know that like if you kill Mordu, you're gonna free this guy's soul. Like in Return of the King, where it's like, he even does the like little nod, like the like dead army that fights. It's finally like he's freed, and he's like, thanks. And they're like, we had no idea we were gonna free you. Yeah, exactly. Like that wasn't what they were trying to do.
But I think that's how it works in actual life. Like you want to set the historical whatever, like generational stuff, like in order. Like you work on your relationships, and it might just happen. Like those things might just start to resolve, and we start learning from, and then it puts those things in context. Once you go through that, maybe there's more work to do on the other end once you get through that, but it doesn't like that. You're exactly right. That is not their goal. They didn't set out to like correct this thing, and if they did, it would have been totally misguided.
Yeah,
and it would have resulted in perpetuating it, like because mom would have just become a demon bear, and now you've actually compounded your problem.
Now you got two demon bears.
By emphasizing, the past injustice to try to do current injustice to make up for past injustice, you're just going to perpetuate injustice. And so if you repair your relationships now, you operate in a way now that will best propagate into the future, the past injustices will sort of get taken care of in the process.
Well, in the 12-step meetings, the serenity prayer, focusing on the things you can change and letting go of the things you can't. Like that is the timeless truth, that if you focus on, because what I find happens when I work with a lot of clients on this stuff is when you focus on the things when you let go of the things you cannot change, you actually realize there's a lot more in your control than you thought. The way you show up, the way you approach your relationships, the people you have influence over, the ways you can communicate better. Like there's a lot of ways you can grow and kind of level up in. And so once you get out of like all the things that are beyond you, it's actually incredibly empowering.
Well, and I think the movie like could very much be like one of the things I like about it is that there is like a supernatural aspect to it with the wisps, and like, this sets like they lead you to your fate, but it's a supernatural world where like your free will is the biggest determining factor of your fate. Like, she talks about like you get to like make your own fate, or we have like a part in it. And they're not saying that like just do whatever you want. You are like learning. You do have like if she had to become queen, like Elinor had to marry somebody else and become queen, and she chose to like relate to it in a way that was like she found stuff she loved about Fergus.
Yeah.
She loved being a queen. She like embraced it. And Merida is just kind of saying like, I just am not ready for that yet. Like, so let me just like have a little bit of say in my life. Like I was thinking, Micah, here's another Lord of the Rings reference that I was thinking where I thought this movie could have very easily been, you could have made it where like we've seen a million times where Merida is just like, I just want to be a boy. I just want to fight. I just want to be like my brothers.
I just want to do guy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like make her like Eowyn, like why can't I fight? Why can't I be a man? Why can't I be treated like that? she's really like Arwen. She just wants to marry, she wants to love who she wants to love and like be,
Mhm.
she wants to have a choice in it and have a say. So she's not like, which I think is a really unique part, like way to tell that story. And I don't think it's told that way as much. I think it's more like when you have a wild girl, it's always about her wanting to be like a boy and treated like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
boy.
yeah, yeah,
And they don't do that at all in this movie, which I really love.
Right.
That it's like
Yeah.
girls can be wild, girls can be fun, girls can be adventurous, and like so I appreciate that they didn't go the way of like I just want to be like a man. Like no, just be
Yeah.
a fun girl. That's cool. That's
And
totally cool.
it feels, it's that same idea where like the specificity of it makes it universal, and like it
Hmm.
feels organic to Merida's character. It's done with sincerity. There's no cynicism to it. Like we said, it's not like uh it's not like, you know, all men are bad, all men are disgusting, all men are the root
Hmm.
of all problems. Like at no point it holds everything very playfully and lovingly
Yep.
and with sincerity, and
Yeah.
it reads, and that's why, like, so I'm curious, sitting and watching this with your daughters, was
Hmm.
it ever like with the conflict between Eleanor and Merida, did it ever make it uncomfortable to sit there and watch it with your kids, or like was it cool? Could everyone roll with
I
it?
think it was cool. I mean, they were so little when we first saw it, so I don't know that we were even, it's like one of those things where I'm watching it when they're little, and of course, in my mind, I'm not sitting there like, that's what this is going to be like when they're teenagers.
Yeah, were
Like
you
you
thinking this
asked
was going to be
earlier, like,
prophetic to how it was going to go when
not,
as they
I
grew up?
mean, if
Yeah,
anything, I kind of thought it would be more Marlowe because she's the feistier one, like
yeah, yeah,
the wild one. But I think that some of that was just like different personality. Like Tessa and I are just different people. But I will say, like, she and I have talked about it since. And then when I told her I was going to be on here, we talked about it. And like, we just have had like such great conversations because the relationship we have now is not at all the relationship I ever thought we would have had when she was
mm,
in high school.
yeah,
And so, yeah, this movie hits very differently now to watch it and like to be like, oh, yeah, there is like hope on the other side of this. There is like
yeah,
and I think that the moment that like really sticks for me and the thing that I like when I was watching it when they were little, there was always the like, I relate to, I will do anything to protect my kids. Like that is
hmm,
what Eleanor is doing through the whole movie. She is like,
yeah,
she has to protect Merida so many different times. And like, I'll always be there for you. So that I related to when they were little. And then when Merida says, like, when her mom first kind of like has that moment of like turning into a bear, and then she sees like the wildness sort of coming out of her, and then Meredith falls asleep and she has the like memory of her being scared of the thunderstorm and like her mom is who she goes to and her mom tells her like I'm always going to be here for you. And she tells her she's brave. She's like you're my brave girl and I'm always going to be here for you. So like in that instant she's like setting in her like speaking into her like you're brave. You can handle this and I'm still going to be here, which I think is pretty powerful to say like you have the capacity to like handle this, but I'll still be here.
Mhm.
And so at the end when Merida thinks her mom's not going to change back and she says like I did this to you, I did this to us. And I thought like that was like she realizes like I didn't just ruin your
yeah,
life, I ruined our relationship. And then she says you've always been there for me. And like that's just the like that's the part that is like I feel that so real. Like no matter how hard things get, like I never in my mind have I thought like I'm out, like this is too much. Like, all right, I'm just going to keep fighting for this. And there's not a lot of other relationships where I feel like I would keep fighting for that, you know?
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
if we treat
yeah.
each other like this, we probably should not be friends, right? Like, this is how we relate. But it's like, I care so much about this relationship. I'm going to keep working through this. Like, this is
Right.
really, really hard. And we're
Well,
going
that's
to
the
come
power
out
of
battered and bruised.
those family bonds. That we're going to come out better for it or worse or whatever. We come out of it, however we come out of it. But like, we are not leaving. Like, this is not. I'm never walking away. I'm never giving up on this.
Yeah. And I think I remember talking to our therapist one time and being like, I just feel like I'm doing it all wrong. I feel like I'm screwing them up. And he's like, I mean, you are. Like every parent is. Like you are. He's like, but they know that you're there and they know
Yeah,
you're not going anywhere. And that makes all the difference. And I was like, okay. Like I've held on to that of like, no matter what we're going through, like I just the what I want more than anything is for my kids to know. And guess what? I still love you, and I'm still
Yeah.
here, and you can always come home. You can always come back here, and even if you turn me into a freaking bear, like
Yeah.
I still love
And
you.
so they do, and they have, like, there's times in, I can look back and remember times where it's like in their mind you have now been transformed into a terrifying creature.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, if you're willing, what is a version of catching the fish that you have learned from your
That's a
daughters?
good question. That's a great question. Huh. I wasn't prepared for that one. I think Tessa has always been so good at like expressing her emotions and like holding on to like what she's articulating, what she's feeling. And I think one of the things that I've learned from her is like it doesn't always have to, like, I'm very impetuous and like I'm just gonna say it and it's gonna be like, I'm probably more like Merida, like in that personality wise. And she would need a minute and then be able to come back with like just the most like thoughtful, articulate, like able to share her thoughts and her like where she was coming from, in a way that just made it like so very clear and so easy to like be like, I wish I would have slowed down and listened to that. Like, or I wish I would have like been more curious to ask and like pull that out because it was absolutely in there. I just wasn't always taking the time to listen, like, in this movie. So I think being more aware of like, I can read this is like an emotional response here. And we're both in this emotional response. And we can kind of like slow down and acknowledge and say to each other, like, I'm not operating from a great space. You're not operating from a great space. So I think I've gotten better at just kind of like, I'm gonna just be quiet for a little bit. And then when we're ready to talk about it, it's gonna be so great. Like it's gonna be so much better. And so I think that's one that I've learned through conflict with Tessa.
That's good.
And I mean, like, we truly have a relationship that I never could have dreamed we would have. I'll get emotional talking about that. Told you I would cry at some point in this.
Well, I was working on a good question to try and get you
Thank
there.
you. And I think with Marlo too, like, there's that sometimes because she has just always been more of like a free spirit and a little bit more like wild and fun and like she's just always like so in the moment. I think there's a lot of times that I thought like she's not really like it's not really like affecting her. Things don't really affect her the same way. She'll just like move on. So being able to kind of be like, oh no, this is like you're not like immune to these feelings and these emotions and like I might need to dig in a little bit more with you to like find out like how is this really affecting you? Because I think it can be easy to be like, oh, I'll just move on to the next thing and forget about like this thing and keep myself busy. So trying to kind of stay with her in the like, and that's not easy for me because I also love to just move on. So that's like, okay, we're good. Like we're both, pretty adaptable and like, all right, let's move on to the next thing. There's times that I move on too fast and she still had something she wanted to say to me or she felt a certain way. And so I think with both of them, I have just learned to be like, say you're sorry right away, own up. Like you don't need the pride of being like the right parent. Like I'm the grown up and I know what I'm doing. Like say you're sorry, own up to what you did wrong, and let them come to you with like what they like. Just let them be them when they come to you with what they're feeling, and not like I don't need to try and fix it all the time. Sometimes you just need to talk to me. Sometimes you just need to be pissed. Like, sometimes you just need to be pissed at me and like tell me that. And like, I need you to know that I'm not going anywhere. You can totally come to me with all of that. Like, you can be so mad at me and I'm still not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that's,
Yeah. Katie,
yeah.
I was excited to dig into this movie with you because I realized like we're coming from very different places on the parenting side there. You're Ebony
Mm-hmm.
mom who has raised 2 daughters, so you relate pretty directly to this film. And I am a dad and I have 3 boys. And we were watching this last night. And it's, they're all relating to like, oh, we're the 3 younger brothers, just like all
Yeah.
the so they're
Or
also
look at
young.
that
So like
cool bear.
yeah. But it's like, I was still, especially with my oldest, we're still talking about like, all right, what's the What's the message of this? Like, I'm gonna be, analyzing this on a podcast tomorrow. Like, what do you guys think? What's going on? And like, even to see like the wheels turn about like, he can see like moms and daughters, and that's an important thing. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think even if it's like not, that's not going to be his experience of like the mom daughter thing, but like he still sees like the value and how important this is. And I don't know, I was excited to talk to you about it just from that different perspective there.
Yeah, it was a good year for like powerful. I mean, that this movie came out the same year as Hunger Games, so it was a big year for like women in archery.
Yeah. Women archery.
It was
sold a lot of
like,
arrows that year.
lots of Katniss and Merida Halloween costumes, but it was it was fun to get to like watch a movie that I remember always saying, like, even when the girls were little and they were like, it felt like a lot and they were crazy. I felt like I said a lot, like, I would rather have feisty, strong daughters than like meek pushovers. Like, this is what I want for you. I want you to have a little bit of Merida in you. I also want you to have a little bit of Elinor. Like, she's strong. These are like strong female characters without it being like we talked about, it doesn't have to diminish the men. It doesn't have to do any of that. Like, they are just like strong women, and they get to be fun. They get to be adventurous. They get to be like leaders.
Yeah.
And
well, it's a celebration of the feminine qualities in all of its forms, right? And it can take these different forms, but they have to, even then, like with mom and daughter, they have to learn to integrate.
Yeah.
I got to jump to my next thing. Here. I'm gonna let you guys wrap it up. I did want to leave it with kind of one last thought, because I think the maturity of Merida, and of Elinor, right? I think there's a moment where I talk about this with my clients a lot, where when people are coming in and they're working through baggage with their mom, baggage through with their parents or with their kids or whatever challenges are, like there's a shift that happens. And I think it kind of happens when like, they're doing the fish in the river scene in this one, where she's not seeing her mom as mom and she's the one trying to push this thing on me. She sees her as Elinor for the first time, right? And she actually starts seeing, and Elinor starts seeing Merida for like who Merida actually is. And it's, I think that in as people mature, early on, you only see mom and dad as mom and dad. And they're playing the role of mom and dad. And when they start to break out of that and you start seeing like, what does it mean that like Elinor is my mom and Fergus is my dad? And these are the unique people that they've created it. You start seeing beyond that. That feels like the turning point for their relationships. And I do think that's emblematic of the maturity process we all go through around these things too.
Totally.
So,
good thought.
But yeah, this was a ton of fun, and looking forward to unpacking it with you more. I'll let you guys wrap it up from here.
Yeah,
we'll say hi to Jill for me.
Go do your thing. And now that dead weight's out of here, I like how he just dropped
now
like his wicked clinical knowledge. Now we can fight. I do. I'm looking at the timestamp. We said it would be short. It never is.
We knew it wasn't going to be. We knew it wasn't going to be short.
Oh, villain comeuppance.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean,
what do you think?
Mordu dies because I think there's the moment where Merida's like talking through the clan. She's talking, reminding them about like how they fought for each other and protected each other and like why they're friends. And so I was like, oh, is this going to be one of those moments where they like just talk about it and everybody's better? And it could have been, but then they go together and they fight Mordu. So they like so it's like, these guys aren't the villains. They don't need a villain comeuppance. They're not the villains. They all get together to fight. And so, obviously killing Mordu and having like Elinor be the one to kill him. And I did think it was interesting. I noticed this time that like she used her like logical brain to kill him. Like she uses her strength that she has as a bear, but then she sees like this stone is going to break and it's weak and I can't fight him by myself. He's clearly this demon strong bear, the strength of 10 men, and I'm like a queen. So she just keeps using his own weight and his own like strength against him and pushing him against this like rock, and it falls and breaks and lands on him and kills him. So there's still that like part of Elinor, not just the bear that kills Mordu.
Right.
So I didn't.
Yeah, and that part that is in her that made her, such a wonderful young woman and such a wonderful mom. Like it's that part of her humanity and potential that's remaining that tips the balance, and not just brute strength and not numbers. And
which I think you notice this with like with the design of Elinor, like when Merida's having the conversation with her at the end, when she's like, "You're dying, like this is my fault, and like you're never gonna change," and blah blah blah. Eleanor's like bear eyes are just 100% bear eyes. There's no like human. They're just black and like empty, and so you're watching this with like a tension of like, is she already gone? Like there's just, she no longer has those human eyes that she had early on, and it just kind of looks like, you know, those like dead empty black eyes. And so it kind of adds to that tension of like, this might be too late. And I thought that was an interesting take, like a cool take that they did there, where watching her shift like to full bear.
And her, so like in some ways I want to say like the real villain is this sort of like generational hubris that worked through Mordu and worked through Merida in order to put Elinor in this position, because Elinor is like, you know, the stakes character in this. She's the one, she's got to be rescued. And so by physicalizing it in Mordu, by having Elinor have to risk herself in order to put an end to it, that like the death of Mordu simultaneously represents the death of that quality that is in Merida as well, and her overcoming herself in that moment. And so, like you said, it could have been a conversation with worse writers. It would have been like in Encanto and, you know, all these recent movies where they end with like just a heartfelt talk. And but they were smart enough as filmmakers to physicalize it and to make sure that it's thematic in the way that it's physicalized. And so, and like we said earlier, it brings like release to the spirit of Mordu. It like heals the past in healing the present. So it's pretty awesome. It's, you know, it's a really good one. And unfortunately, we don't get to watch it much because Calvin
isn't as into it.
No, it's because he gets legitimately scared.
Yeah.
Not of Mordu. He gets scared when Elinor, when like what you were saying, that shift when she turns, she loses her humanity, which I don't know if that's just something about my wife's temper or like,
I just think I mean, I think that's what Pixar's so great at, is like they don't dumb it down for kids too, where like a kid is smart enough to be like, something's different. Like she's not looking at her with the same like love and compassion, and like, and I want to end like I love the part at the end where Merida says, like, it could be so cheesy, like, you've changed. And Elinor says, like, we both have. When Merida says you've changed, she does not mean that in the way that like she wanted her mom to change. Like the whole thing was like, I want you to change.
Right.
She doesn't ask her like, have you changed your mind? Yeah. She doesn't ask like, have you changed your mind about this? She's just like, you're back. Like that's all I care about, is like, I still just have you. So it never becomes, she never gets the change. Well, we don't know. We don't know if she gets the change that she, like Elinor is probably still going to train her to be like, okay, yeah, you still have to like, eventually you're going to pick somebody and you're going to have to be a queen. There's still going to be like lessons to learn. But all she cares about in that moment is like,
to learn them.
Yeah. All she cares about is that she got her mom back. So yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It hit, it really hit different with an older kid. I highly recommend like going back and watching movies you watch with a younger kid when they're an adult. It's pretty cool.
For me, it was most noticeable in Pee-wee's Big Adventure when I was older. I could finally actually watch the part with Large Marge. Because I would just cover my eyes every time. And I think I was about 25 the first time I actually
Large Marge is
watched.
Scary. Yeah, everybody our generation has a Large Marge trauma, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim Burton and Paul Rubens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Katie, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I love the podcast. It's my favorite. I don't miss an episode. So,
awesome.
And I told you it makes me feel like talking to my friends about movies like we used to do. So thanks for letting me actually talk to you about a movie.
Well, and if we didn't do this in your living room every week for years, then probably wouldn't have made this podcast. So
probably not.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, give my love to everyone. Hug all your family for me.
Back at you.
All right. I'll see you later.
All right. Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed this episode. What an amazing film. What a great talk. Love Katie Barkley so much and that whole family. Grateful you're here. Remember to click like, click subscribe, leave us a comment, and hey, jump back, go through our library, find another movie that was important to you. What's the one you watched with your parents? What's the ones you're going to watch with your kids? How do those stories impact the way you look at your world? All right. And then let us know. Thanks for watching.